still a little tired, groggy from getting up. Bed was just too comfy, way too fucking comfy. I just couldn't crawl out of it. It was like it had a death grip on me.
Hello everyone, this is your daily dose of internet.
Oh shit!
I can't believe the other people still decided to jump out after
That
seeing
looks
this happen.
so fake, but at the same time so oh! Oh fuck! That's horrifying.
This is what
That is
happens
why
when
they have a
professional
backup
baseball
parachute.
player throws a snowball.
Huh?
They were trying to hang up a picture. The suitcases started to pile up at this baggage claim.
Well, that's a fight for survival right there. Watch there be a
They somehow
child
managed
buried
to pull
underneath.
this off in a U-Haul truck.
Stupid. You okay,
It's
kitty?
so cold in China that this is what happens when they open their door to let warm air in. This dog couldn't
God
hold back his
damn.
instincts.
The stick. Don't take the stick. Don't take the stick.
This guy was taking a nap when he started sleepwalking. These police officers in Mexico decided to show off some moves in a parade.
God damn. Holy. Can I
This
high
might
five
be the
him?
crunchiest grape of all time.
So crunchy. Okay, I'm sorry, kid.
They decided to overinflate their swim cap.
Mega mind being formed here.
All these people managed to save this car from falling off a cliff.
Crazy. What the fuck happened?
The speaker somehow still works after being in a house fire.
Then I see this speaker and I'm like, let me turn it on.
Huh?
How?
I'm starting to learn
JBL
that
is
priests in
just
the
built
Philippines are kind of crazy.
That's the Christmas tree he wants.
They have their dog pray with them before they eat.
Let's go, buddy. Dear Heavenly Father, bless the spirit to our bodies, and thank you for serving such a...
Ah, He
His
tried.
waitress tripped in the most polite way possible.
Oh, I want to see a polite trip.
He was eating lunch in his car when these guys showed up.
You want some food? Just a few of you want some food? You should take one as a pet. Oh, that's gonna wake her up. They're gonna land on her. Oh!
This deer was smart enough
Worse
to
than a
wait
gutter
and use the
ball.
crosswalk.
He's chilling at the crosswalk.
Sir, what type of deer are
My word, the deer's crossing the crosswalk. This is insane.
What
Only
type
in
of
Nova
deer are you?
Scotia.
Oh my god. This is insane. He took the... There's two bugs fighting right in front of me. It's crazy. Take a look.
Who's gonna win?
He found out that his tea kettle can turn the light on and off.
Okay, this is an ornament that my mom had. And it says, "Squeeze my cheeks and you'll get a kiss."
And that is why you don't overfill your vehicle. Obviously.
ยาเสพปากเข้ามาเปิดปากให้น้องใช้คำว่ายาเสพปากอีดอกจะปากออก
You never stop.
Good morning. Look at your teeth. You have an underbite.
These people rescued this dog using a crane.
Ooh, there we go. The dog's just chilling. You got a
He had
mustache.
these workers over to do some electrical work on the house.
Huh.
She's flying.
And that is the end of this video. We hope you enjoyed.
There is
And
another
I'll see you
daily
guys
dose
again
that we have.
very, very soon. Later.
This one.
Hello everyone, this is your daily dose of internet.
Good, dude.
We're not allowed to skate here? Not at all. I'll call the police. Look at him go. Guys.
Look at them go.
Oh, we are?
They're making mac and cheese.
Oh, I fall asleep. We're gonna make... But it's hilarious.
Oh!
Oh!
Deserved though. You shouldn't punch an inflatable penguin.
So I guess turkeys have no idea how to run.
What you doing? Come here, buddy. Oh, yes.
Hey, Lipset, how you doing?
How
Just
y'all
doing more at
doing?
your time? Nice.
You look
Just
like
before
Lego
work
piece
for
number
me.
2815. What? 125, what is that?
I go to work right now at,
Bro, can you
I go to
not-
work in like
Can you not?
30 minutes.
This cat saved this chicken from being eaten by a fox.
So. No, the chicken! The chicken's okay! Run away!
No.
This police officer was chasing after someone and pretended that he had dogs.
Get the dog out! Get the dog! And then she got bullets in the field. So that's right.
This student knows how to sound exactly like a teacher.
Hey, excuse me.
Yo.
Hey.
My god.
Hey, excuse me.
They decided to put their
Oh
friend
wow, I
in a
just
bag.
got off at work at 3. I went in at 3 a.m. though. God damn, that's a shift. Yeah. I go in and I work until midnight. Some days I'm going in at 3 till midnight, some days 3:30 to midnight. Today's at 4 to midnight.
I might need some help.
The sleep schedule's got absolutely a
Teachers are now using
ball
brain rot terminology
destroyed.
to educate students.
I hate this.
This deer really acts like life is all sunshine and rainbows.
I need a deer or a person just like that in my life. Ah, I feel that. My sleep schedule's fucked too. Yeah.
This panda
It's
doesn't
gotten
realize
better.
how fat he is.
It's gotten slightly better over the past couple days, but it's still bad.
This little car is somehow super powerful.
I freaking slapped a super engine in that thing. Woo!
Runner. Hi, Runner. Hi. He's dead.
One of his dogs needs medicine, but his other dog gets jealous and thinks he needs it too.
That's great. Something else that's happening today. Not really me, but if I am right,
He decided that rolling instead of running as
believe
fast
I
as he
am.
could was the best way to go.
Naoshi Eden, today's her birthday. So we all wish her a happy birthday.
I just learned today that it only takes a few seconds for a tornado to form.
I wish the camera would do justice, but these clouds are just spinning in a circle right here trying to form. Oh wait, it is forming. Oh! Oh my god!
Just feel that you're...
Holy
He ordered
so
2 cement
tired.
trucks to show up to his house.
For no
and they both
reason
kinda
either. I
failed.
got plenty of sleep. I conked out at almost 3. I slept for 12 hours.
Government officials were very confused when they were watching the traffic cameras and saw this happen.
What the fuck? That's cool. Oh!
of their friends
Well,
has a super
anyways,
powerful
the very
flashlight,
unfortunate
and they
thing for me
decided
is
to
I
prank
don't think I'll
random
be able
people
to be
on
in
the
my
beach.
Bushi's birthday stream. Because it seems like she's going live soon, and I will be working until late. I doubt she'll still be live. I don't know. Forming a line.
These people decided to rescue this raccoon that they saw in the water.
Okay, he's got all 3 feet on there. Oh, you're almost there. You're almost there. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I was so randomly tired last night that I just left a book last night downstairs in front of a microwave. That's what VODs are for.
I
Sometimes
was
work
just in Los
just gets in
Angeles,
the way.
and I had a fun time hiking in the Hollywood Hills. That is the
But I
end of this
never
video.
really give
Hope
myself
you have
time
an
to
amazing
watch
rest of your
VODs
day,
either.
and I will see you guys again very, very soon. Later.
It's truly unfortunate. But it happens.
No, the title is not lying. I compiled a massive list of my favorite Dead by Daylight tips,
24
tricks,
minutes.
secrets, and Easter eggs into a single video. I promise you, even if you're a veteran player with thousands of hours, you will learn so much awesome stuff in this video. With that being said, let's
So I
get
could
into
watch
it.
this
If a
before
hook
I go,
ever
let's
spawns
go.
on top of a hill, it'll always be facing the entrance of the hill. This is a really useful thing to know if, for example, you're carrying a survivor and you're trying to quickly find the entrance. Calm Spirit prevents you from spooking crows. However, if you step on a crow, the crow will be spooked regardless of whether or not you have this perk on. And this also applies to crouching, as that usually prevents spooking crows as well. Killers that are undetectable also spook crows, so this is an easy way to figure out the potential position of a stealth killer. Although for killers who can crouch like Ghostface or Pig, they have the same mechanics as survivors, where if they're crouched, they won't spook the crows, but if they're walking, they will. The alien
Ooh,
queen skin
okay.
is so tall that if she's ever going through a doorway she's too tall for, she will duck under it. Whenever you start a match as Wraith and look all the way up while you ring your bell, you can see your head. I have no clue why this is a thing, especially because you can never do it again in that match. If you sprint burst out of the exit gate, your character technically leaves the lobby faster, meaning the hatch will spawn about 1 second earlier. This is such a niche tip and will probably never help you at all, but it's really interesting to know. From the survivor's perspective, you can tell what tier a nemesis is by looking at their arm. If there's no infection, he's in tier 1. If there's a little bit of infection, he's in tier 2. And if there's huge pustules of infection, he's in tier
I
3.
always try
If
to
you
get
use
a
the
VOD
devil
in
mask
while I'm
on
on my day
Ghostface
off,
with the
but
default torso
sometimes work
skins, it'll
exhaustion
create
just
little
kicks
holes
in.
where the horns
Lol,
stick out. The funny
yeah.
thing is though, if you go back to a normal mask, the
So
holes will
real,
still be there.
though.
If you wait in the lobby for too long, Ash Williams will complain.
Are we gonna be here all day? Can we do something here? Come on, kid. Push the button. What is this, a staring contest? Come on, let's go.
If you have the Ashy Slashy skin on, the puppet will complain instead.
Any minute now.
Are you gonna play?
Come
Work
on.
is
I'm a busy puppet.
wearing me out.
What's taking so long, pal?
When Springtrap goes
It's
into
really
his
neat.
doors, for some reason it completely
I
cuts
need to
out the
take a
ambient
vacation.
audio on the maps. So if you're a survivor and you're paying attention, this gives you free information on when he's teleporting without needing to see him. And you're paying attention, this gives you free information on when he's teleporting.
On. I'm a busy puppet. What's taking so long, pal?
When Springtrap goes into his doors, for some reason it completely cuts out the ambient audio on the maps. So if you're a survivor and you're paying attention, this gives you free information on when he's teleporting without needing to see him.
God damn.
If you're playing against a twins and Charlotte is ever next to a pallet, you can stun her body to stop her from controlling Victor. If you're using the padded jaws add-on on Trapper, it'll have a completely different sound effect.
How did he do
Resurrected
that?
totems from Hex Pentimento have a more red glow, so it's easier to distinguish them from a normal Hex perk. If a dredge sits in a locker for 8 seconds, survivors will hear a warning sound. There are two different colors for generators. Red generators if they're outside, and yellow generators if they're inside. If a killer is body blocking a
that's
pallet, you can
useless
actually
information,
crouch
but
to
cool.
kind of change the hitbox, which will let you throw the pallet. This can be extremely clutch in certain situations. There is a common misconception that being in chase pauses your deep wound timer, but this is incorrect. The deep wound timer only pauses if you're sprinting. This is actually the same case with being infected against plague. Walking will not actually progress the sickness meter. If you're on the Nostromo wreckage map, you can find a keycard from one of the dead astronauts around the map and bring it to this point to enter a code and access a secret chest. Any killer that has a mask in every cosmetic will never blink. Obviously, there would be no point in having a blinking animation because you'll never see their face, but it's really funny to look at. The model for the artist doesn't have a tongue because her tongue was cut off in her lore. This is a really cool detail because I don't think anyone would ever see this in the actual game. On certain maps that have a lot of bloom, if you shine your flashlight on the pride flag charm, it'll glow rainbow colors. On one of Ace's outfits, he has dollar bills in his pocket. These dollar bills have Ace's face on them. Some rushed actions, like fast vaulting a pallet or a window, surprisingly have a range for the loud noise notification. If the killer is at least 48 meters away, they will not receive a noise notification. On the Five Nights at Freddy's map, the spare heads of the animatronics will always be looking at you. This is a reference to FNAF 1, where the spare heads had a rare chance of looking at the camera. Nemesis' zombies are attracted to loud noise notifications, so any perks that create a loud noise notification, like Discordance, Red Herring, or Diversion, will attract the zombies towards that notification bubble. And of course, this also applies to missing a skill check. Chucky will recognize other horror icons in the lobby. For example, if the lobby has someone like a Nicolas Cage or an Ash Williams, these are the voice lines that he can say.
Wait a minute. I know that guy. Oh, shit. Is that who I think it is? Shit. I recognize him. Wait, I thought I was the star here.
There is a 30-second maximum hacking time for Skull Merchant drones, so eventually it'll automatically fail you. This is a really interesting mechanic, and I doubt that this has literally happened to anyone on Earth, but they probably have this as a backup mechanic to prevent you from getting softlocked. From the survivor's perspective, whenever a dredge teleports to a locker, you can see it do a little wiggle. This is a great thing to keep in mind because it'll allow you to get a little bit of extra distance. The ski lift chairs on Ormond surprisingly have collision, so if someone's character hits it, which will never happen in a real game, the chairs will go absolutely insane. It's really funny. If a night guard is chasing you, you can tap an unhook prompt to get them to stop chasing you. Alternatively, if you tap your body against a window, the guard will automatically path to that window before continuing to chase you. On the Five Nights at Freddy's map, you can see the 3-stage animatronics from FNAF 1. However, Chica's missing her iconic cupcake. If you search lockers around the map, eventually you will find it. 7 days after buying the Sonico Rising DLC, you'll receive a secret videotape themed around the Ring movies. Obviously, this is a reference to the films where if you watch the tape, you will die in 7 days. I'm sure if I did not know about this, it would actually kind of scare me. The in-game name for Myers is called The Shape because that's how he was credited in the original Halloween film. The Trapper is in Rainbow Six Siege and For Honor. It is really strange to see the Trapper with a gun. The Trapper will make a grunt sound effect when you pick up the maximum amount of traps that you can carry. On the Nostromo wreckage map, if you go up to this window, this will happen.
I don't know. I know I had to have seen
Despite popular belief, Bloodlust doesn't actually just dissipate randomly. Instead, it decays at a rate of 10% per second, so if you leave a chase when you have Bloodlust 1, you won't lose Bloodlust until 10 seconds after ending that chase. There is always a generator next to the closed sliding doors on the Gideon meat plant. This makes it so much easier to find gens on this map. Padded Jaws is a trapper add-on that does not damage survivors if they step in a trap, but gives you double points for each trap event. You can pair this with Honing Stone, which is the add-on that makes survivors go down if they free themselves from a trap to still gain the double point benefit from Padded Jaws without the downside. Most of you know that missing a skill check wakes the survivor up if they're playing against a Freddy, but did you know that this is caused by actually missing the skill check and not caused by the loud noise notification? So if you're using perks such as Technician or Bite the Bullet, which suppress the loud noise notification, you'll be able to wake up without revealing your location. If there's a Dracula as the killer, he will alter every single map in the game to have the castle in the distance. The only time this doesn't apply is on licensed maps because it would conflict with the license agreements. Although you may feel safe in lockers, remember that Killer Instinct is still visible even if you're in a locker. So if you're playing against a Legion using their power, for example, being in a locker would be completely pointless. Nurse has orbs floating in her hand that represent the amount of charges she has left. The artist also has orbs that represent the amount of crows she has left. If a Plague has her Corrupt Purge active, which you can tell via these red particles coming out of her, you can stun her with a pallet to remove it entirely. If you're using the perk Plot Twist, the game will still consider it as a down, which automatically caps your Unbroken Emblem to gold, so you won't be able to to get all iridescent emblems at the end of the trial. On maps like Mother's Dwelling and Temple of Purgation, it's not actually raining everywhere on the map. Instead, there's only rain surrounding each player, which saves on resources to make the game run more smoothly. It's a little bit hard to tell, but if you look up into the sky, you can kind of see this. The Demogorgon's body comes out of the portal from the survivor's perspective before you actually reach the end of the portal from the killer's perspective. This is a balancing feature to give survivors more time to react to your teleport. You can prevent a pinhead from teleporting by stunning him. The odds of this happening in a real match is very, very slim, but it's still interesting nonetheless. You can blind a spirit while she's phasing to force her out of her ability, although I wouldn't really recommend it because it's not that useful. You can also shine your flashlight on a husk to get rid of it, although this is kind of a pointless feature nowadays. Back in the day, it was helpful because survivors used to not be able to hear when the spirit was phasing when they were in chase, so some spirits would just stand still to fake as though they were phasing, and using your flashlight was a good way to check if it was fake or not. During early stages of development, the description for Hag's trap power was scare the dude, teleport to the thing. Killers can hit over small obstacles such as certain fences on specific maps, so if you're a killer player, try to take advantage of this, and if you're a survivor player, obviously keep this in mind so you don't get hit. You can hear human cries on the fireplace in the main building of Garden of Joy. If you hear the gong sound and the endgame collapse, and there's only about 25% of the bar left, that means there is only 30 seconds left on the timer. However, if a survivor is on a hook, in a cage, or slugged, the endgame collapse timer moves at half speed, so keep that in mind. On the Five Nights at Freddy's map, you can hear this phone ring. Of course, this could just be a regular phone ringing, but it more likely seems like an intentional nod to Phone Guy, an iconic character in the FNAF series. The endgame collapse visuals are different for killers and survivors. For killers, the red stuff on the ground isn't as bright because it would be too difficult to track blood and scratch marks. The Unknown's voice lines change from male to female depending on the skin that you use.
Yeah, I noticed that.
When you're playing against a doctor, Madness Tier 3 seemingly stops you from doing any action, but you can still open exit gates and unhook survivors while you're in Tier 3, so keep that in mind. Snapping out of it also takes priority over mending yourself, so if you're in Tier 3 and you don't have much time left on your mending timer, you might be out of luck. Oni has a passive recharge rate for his ability, although it's so slow that it's very difficult to tell it even exists. However, this passive recharge will never ever give Oni his power since it caps at 98%. When a survivor starts a vault animation, their item disappears. So if you're playing killer, you can use this to your advantage to confirm whether or not the survivor is faking a vault before the animation even plays. On the Nostromo wreckage, there's a random chance for the cat to jump out of the locker. The achievement called Honor the Bloodline requires you to reveal the killer's aura for a total of 60 seconds in a single trial, but contrary to what the description may suggest, it was possible to get this achievement simply by playing killers such as the twins, where you could see your companion's aura, or by playing 2v8 for the same reason. I'm not sure if this still works because I can't test it since I already have the achievement, but if you're trying to 100% the game, it might be worth trying. If you're playing Onryo, her TVs will only show static if there's no survivors nearby, but if there's a survivor within, I believe, 12 or 16 meters, the TV will actually be playing the video. The Dead Dog map offering used to be a noose, but Behavior changed it into a shattered bottle, likely because they felt a noose was an inappropriate thing for players to equip. When controlling a biopod as Singularity, the HUD has a string of binary numbers, which if you translate it, it says entity. You know how when a killer is AFK for a while and then they move, it plays the stinger sound effect? Well, if the killer is undetectable, it removes the stinger sound effect completely. Unlike most other killers, whenever an Oni grabs a survivor out of a locker, he will actually stab them with his weapon, which gives him a boost of blood for his ability. If you ever escape the trapper's grasp by any means, such as with a decisive strike or even just wiggling off their shoulder, you have a brief window of a few seconds where you can literally walk straight through traps without triggering them. If you're playing Clown and need to interrupt a survivor from a certain action, such as cleansing one of your hex totems, you could do so by hitting their body directly with your bottle. This will cause them to scream and will remove them from the interaction, resetting the progress bar. If the survivor has a movement speed buff, you come out of vaults a tiny bit further. This makes it possible to avoid certain trap placements. You have officially made it halfway through the video, so if you're enjoying it so far, feel free to drop a like and subscribe if you're new. Obviously, this video took so much time and effort, so I would really appreciate it. We are on the grind to 500,000 subscribers, so I'm very thankful to all of you that have subbed. On one of Dwight's cosmetics, there is a patch that says Another One Bites the Crust. This is a real patch that you can buy on Amazon. Byers loses all collision when he's stalking, so you can walk straight through him. While in the lobby as Springtrap, he will occasionally do this animation. This is a reference to one of the secret screens found in Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Way back in the day, the hooks had unique textures depending on the killer. This was obviously removed because it eliminates the surprise factor of the killer's identity, especially if it was a stealth killer like Wraith. But rather than being removed completely, the unique hook textures are now just dependent on the map. When you're playing against a Singularity, the amount of beeps that an EMP plays is based on the total number of things that you are about to disable.
Ooh, that's cool.
You can only see Chucky's footprints through walls if you would normally be able to see a normal height killer. Since indoor maps make it difficult for survivors to see the floodlights on the generators to determine if they're completed or not, many of the gens on indoor maps will be connected to certain light fixtures, so if these light fixtures are flickering, then the generator has not been completed, but if the light fixtures are on, then they have been completed. The ceiling in the main building of the Five Nights at Freddy's map has a hole in the shape of a rabbit. This could just be a coincidence, but it's more likely a reference to Springtrap or potentially other rabbit characters in the franchise like Bonnie or Vanny. Trapper has bandages on his leg because that's the leg he always steps in his own traps with. Since most of Plague's outfits don't have her left eye, she will never blink with her left eye on outfits that do have both of her eyes. The Huntress's lullaby gets deeper and more manic as the trial goes on, which represents her frustration when she's not able to down survivors quickly enough. Any perk that is buffing you, regardless of whether or not it is a survivor perk or a killer perk, will be blue and have an arrow pointing up, but any perk that is giving you a negative effect or debuffing you will be red and has an arrow pointing downward.
Ooh,
the Blight
nice
normally vaults windows by putting one hand on it and then vaulting, but if the window leads to a drop down, he will actually hop on the window first before jumping off. Jill's ugly sweater cosmetic has a red herb on the back. This is a reference to the red herb item that commonly appears in the Resident Evil series. Fixated lets you walk 20% faster at the time of recording, but did you know that this still applies if you're chained by a pinhead? This means that this perk essentially hard counters Pinhead's power. The head-on perk where you can jump out of a locker to stun the killer does not work if you have idle crows. One of Springtrap's voice lines is this:
"The darkest pit of hell is open for business."
This is a reference to the peak ending that is in Five Nights at Freddy's Pizzeria Simulator, where this line is said.
Although for one of you, the darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole. So don't keep the devil waiting, friend.
If there is a twins and Charlotte is dormant for 30 seconds while controlling Victor, she will completely lose collision, allowing survivors to walk right through her. This is a mechanic to prevent her from just camping and body blocking doors or windows. Wraith and Hillbilly have the exact same breathing sounds, just at different pitches. The Hag technically has a maximum noise range for her traps when they're triggered, but it's massive at 1,000 meters, so no one would ever know. The Legion's detection radius in their frenzy is based off of their terror radius, so if the survivors are oblivious or the Legion is undetectable, they wouldn't be able to see the killer instinct of any survivors. There is a secret status effect that can affect players, and it has an icon in the game files, despite it never showing up on the player's HUD, and this status effect is called Deafen, and it only triggers if you're blinded by a firecracker or a flashbang, and can also be triggered when a Hag is using the disfigured ear annel. Whenever a Death Slinger is aiming at you, you can hear this high-pitched warning sound.
Ooh.
If you're on Midwich and you complete the generators in the music room and the chemistry room, this secret door will open when the endgame collapse is activated, providing you with a secret chest. The chemistry room is the room with the periodic table, right where this drop-down hole is above the exit gate, and the music room is the one with the piano on the top floor near the bathrooms. Self-preservation is a survivor perk that makes any survivor lose scratch marks, grunts of pain, and bleeding if they take damage when you're within 16 meters of them. However, unless this was patched, this perk also activates with Trickster's blades, so it'll activate even if the survivor gets hit by a single blade rather than being damaged.
Ooh,
if you complete
okay.
the main generator on the Greenville Theater, a movie will start playing that shows the mill from the game Casting of Frank Stone. If you don't know, Casting of Frank Stone is a narrative choice-based game made by the same people who made Until Dawn, but it's in the Dead by Daylight universe. There is an endoskeleton jump scare in the vent on the FNAF map, and I believe this only triggers if you're a survivor. Whenever someone crosses this wire on Gas Heaven, the bell will ring.
Oh, that's cool.
If you're playing Xenomorph and you're in your tunnel, you can see the footsteps of survivors above you. However, if they're carrying a flame turret, their footsteps will be completely hidden. Whenever Hag hits a survivor, she drinks their blood. To my knowledge, this is a reference to her lore because she canonically needs to drink blood to stop herself from decomposing. If an artist hits you with her crows, you can hop in a locker to instantly remove them. Clown actually has 2 more animations. For female survivors, he will cut off their right index finger, but for male survivors, he will cut off their left pinky finger. This exists solely because of Ash Williams' existence, since he has a prosthetic right hand, so it wouldn't make sense for Clown to cut off a finger from that. Clown's gas clouds only last for 10 seconds, but as soon as the survivor touches the gas, it'll dissipate a lot faster. The static blast range on Doctor is directly tied to your tear radius, so the range can be increased or decreased accordingly. So for example, if you use a perk like Monitor and Abuse, which decreases your tear radius by 8 meters when you're not in chase, then your static blast range will be smaller. Some mask cosmetics for the Legion will make their voice sound a lot more metallic. Nemesis has a unique voice line if he Mori's a STARS member from the Resident Evil series. Whenever a player passes by this section of the kitchen in the Five Nights at Freddy's map, everything starts moving as though it's haunted. If you didn't know, survivors with an active head trap on cannot escape through the exit gates, but they can escape through the hatch. This is a really useful thing to know if you're in the endgame and someone has an active head trap on. You can just have everyone leave so the hatch can spawn, hopefully increasing their odds of escaping. If you purchase the Baba Yaga skin on Huntress, you will have unique lobby music, a unique idle animation in the lobby, a new lullaby, and a new voice. This is why this skin is considered a legendary rarity.
Ooh.
Illusionary Doctors show up for any survivor that is in Madness Tier 2 or Tier 3, but the Doctor can only see the aura of these illusions when the survivor is in Tier 3. The Plague's model is missing a toe because it was cut off in her lore. That's also why one of her add-ons is called Severed Toe. Hag has the longest Mori animation at a whopping 16 total seconds. Alternatively, the Pig has the shortest Mori animation at only 8 seconds. Originally, the Illusionary Doctors used to wear the default cosmetics, which made them easily distinguishable, but this was changed in patch 2.0.0 to where they now have the same exact cosmetics as the Doctor. Not that they really confuse survivors anyway, but still a nice touch. Wesker has unique voice lines for various actions if he's interacting with Chris Redfield. Obviously, this is because they are in the same game in the Resident Evil series, so if Chris escapes from his grasp, Wesker will say this.
This isn't over, Chris.
If he hooks Chris, he will say this.
Farewell, old friend.
And lastly, if he Moris Chris, he will say this.
Time to die, Chris.
The Legion has different chase music depending on the add-ons that you use, because each mixtape add-on gives different layers of the music, so there are so many combinations. Here are a few different examples.
Oh, that's cool.
If you're playing against a dredge and there are two lockers right next to each other in the same orientation, only lock one of them. The dredge will be forced to teleport to the locked locker, which effectively gives you an extra use on the locks. Before the Oni was released, he was teased on the Spirit's map family residence, since the Oni and Spirit are related by blood. The shot from the Deathslinger's gun is so loud that it'll spook any crow nearby. This is a great way to keep track of the Deathslinger's location. When you're on RPD and enter one of the rooms that has a typewriter, you can hear the same music that plays when you're in a save room in Resident Evil.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
If a survivor escapes with the Lament configuration in hand, it's impossible for it to spawn for the remainder of the trial. Onryo has a lullaby that plays even when she's demanifested, so you can still hear when she's coming, even when she's in her stealth.
Ooh.
Trickster also has a lullaby that a lot of people don't know about. It is pretty faint, so it's a bit difficult to hear, but I believe it plays at 40 meters. If you go into the accessibility settings, you can turn on the visual heartbeat indicator, which will help you see this lullaby even if you can't really hear it. It's also honestly just a useful mechanic in general. The only killers to not have any footstep sounds are the Nurse, Vecna, and Dracula in vampire form, since they're all floating off the ground. If a clown throws a bottle at a high elevation, the gas will spread out over a larger area. I know I put this in all of my tip videos, but I just think it's really interesting. Since Ormond is the map that came out with Legion, you can see their signature on the wall. If you're using the perk Blast Mine and you activate it on a gen, a little flashbang will appear on top of the gen. But I believe this can only be seen by survivors, so as a killer, you're still not able to tell if a perk has been blast mined. Blocked generators don't regress, so if you're using a perk like Hex Ruin, you should ideally not use other perks that would block the gens and prevent you from getting value, such as Thrilling Tremors or Grim Embrace. The small crosshair in your screen when you step into a clown bottle was intentionally put there to give people prone to motion sickness a stationary point to look at. On the Sanctum of Wrath map, the statues in the center are like weeping angels, so if you aren't looking at them, they will look at you. You used to be able to obtain obtain 4 different mask cosmetics
Yeah, I
for Bubba
remember
based
that.
on the 4 original survivors. You would unlock them by killing a certain amount of each survivor. So for example, killing 25 Dwights would unlock the Dwight mask. Behavior ultimately decided to remove this due to certain racist Bubba players who had to ruin this cool feature for everyone. The Spirit used to not have any animation when vaulting a window from the survivor's perspective. Instead, she would just suddenly teleport to the other side, which allowed Spirit players to do mind games where she could just stand still at a window and players wouldn't know if she's vaulting or faking it. Low-key, thinking back on it, I actually kind of enjoyed the standstill mind games from Spirits. Light's add-on called Plague Bile is literally a sample of Plague's bile that he used to experiment with. If you turn on subtitles, you can see the translated voice lines for certain killers that do not speak your own language. If you're sick of people being toxic in endgame chat, you can click this little button to collapse the chat. And then you can click it again if you want to see the chat again. Even though you're in the same realm, there is different intro music for Shattered Square versus Forgotten Ruins. In the lobby, you can occasionally see a horse head fall out of the Dredge's body. This is Maurice, the three-eyed horse from Father Campbell's chapel that disappeared from that map around the time that Dredge got released. If you go near this elevator on the Lake Ormond mine map, this will happen. The secret passageway in the Midwich bathroom used to be completely blocked off by breakable doors, so not a lot of people actually knew about it. If a trial ends because someone disconnects in the loading screen or within the first minute of the trial starting, any offerings that were burnt will be refunded to the player's inventories. If you look at the LED indicator above Xenomorph's tunnels, you can see how many flame turrets are still available to grab. This is because there's only a limited amount of turrets that can be on the map at any given time. On April Fools of 2020, the devs made it so that the Shrine of Secrets only had Calm Spirit. If Springtrap is ever teleporting to a door, the LED indicator on the door will start to flash. Use this to your advantage to gain distance early. This also applies to survivors using doors, so if you're playing as the Springtrap, you'll know that a survivor is walking towards that door. The icon for being cursed by a hex was slightly altered when Boon Perks came out because the new Blessed status effect was created. The purpose of this redesign was to allow survivors to clearly distinguish the two. If you learned something new from this video, come drop a like and subscribe if you're new. And if you want to test your DBD knowledge and perception, come check out this video where I Photoshop something in the image to make it impossible, and you have to figure out what it is.
Fuck. Alrighty, short scrim, like I said it would be. I thank you all for popping in, and I gotta go work my butt off. So, I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye bye!